First of all, fantastic presentations all around, great contributions. I used to live in the South Bronx, New York City, actually the poorest congressional district in the United States, Hunts Point. And, you know, it's a place where people don't really have any faith or trust in the government because they don't see any type of resources really being allocated, you know, to the actual community. Well, that was until Hugo Chavez came to the South Bronx in 2005. And he basically came, showed up, walked around, showed his face, unlike even a lot of our city council members who you would hardly see in the community. And he asked simply, what is it that you need here? It's like, you give me a list of things that you need in this community and I'll see to it that my government, the Venezuelan government, the revolutionary government, is able to help you in any way possible. And he stayed true to his promise, as he always did. Through that, actually, my second album as a hip-hop artist, I recorded at a studio that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for that solidarity from the Venezuelan government and Hugo Chavez having come to the South Bronx. It was built with that oil money that was used through Citgo and the Venezuelan State Oil Company, and, you know, not only diverted into social projects like that, but also, I think was mentioned already, the low-cost heating oil that several families in New York City were able to get when they could not rely on any type of handout from the local government. So that's why, you know, through the years, the same mentality continued to hold sway amongst the local populace that, yeah, you know, our government doesn't really care for us, but there is a government, you know, thousands of miles away that actually does. And it's mind-boggling for a lot of people just to be able to compare and contrast two vastly different social systems and to come to the conclusion that the way that we're living here, you know, the type of social order that exists in the United States, despite being so technologically advanced in so many ways, is actually socially regressive. And in Venezuela, something is happening that we need to implement in our country. So that's something that's always stayed with me, and it's why the Venezuelan Revolution is very personal in a sense, because I felt like even in New York City, I was living it.
Thanks very much. I mean, just similarly to us in London, it was a slightly surreal thing several years ago to see at every bus stop in London that our bus service was subsidized by the Bolivarian government of Venezuela as well. So I don't know if we're the most deserving on the whole globe for that subsidy, but nevertheless, it was definitely an act of concrete solidarity, which is appreciated. Anyone else would like to make a contribution?
I just want to say something, just in reference to the bus issue. Although London isn't the most deserving, those who use the bus tend to be the poorest in society, so it was a great gesture. And obviously it was overturned by the loathsome Boris Johnson, who referred to £200,000 a year that he gets from his Telegraph column as chicken feed, and so he immediately increased the bus fares by 20%, because obviously he's never taken a bus. So just that was just a little bit thing in between brackets. But I just want to add to the whole thing about how he was seen, how he's perceived by foreigners. And I've learned one thing, is that when the West actually demonizes somebody, that's when you know he's a good guy. And I think that's become that's just the thing that you know. So once any leader is picked on and demonized, you know he's doing the right thing. And obviously Chavez was incredibly demonized, and we know his legacy.
Not Vladimir Putin, he's standing up to Western imperialism.
Well, there you go.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for organising this meeting. I found it very enjoyable and educational as well, and especially the internationalism of it, which was obviously so important to Chavez. I was lucky enough to go to Venezuela a couple of years ago, and I heard a talk by the foreign minister, one of the foreign ministers at the time, and just to pick up on what Carlos was saying about Chavez and his so-called unsavoury relationships with so-called dictators. And I was in a meeting, and somebody raised this question, oh, don't you have deals with Iran, blah blah blah, etc., etc. And they were just very clear, you know, this is a matter, we don't agree with everything, all of the internal politics of Iran, but it's a matter for Iran to decide, and it's a question of national sovereignty. And I think that, well, it's just anti-imperialism, isn't it, that Chavez was always, and Venezuela today is still so clear on, that when nations are confronted by the imperialist powers putting war and aggression, you stand together, and it doesn't really matter what differences you have on how you want to run your individual countries.
If Chavez was alive today, no doubt he'd be using his, what is it, weekly or daily television program for the masses, where he imparts his singing and his knowledge and his philosophy in the absolute typical way that only he could. I'm sure 100% he would be using his leadership and his platform to say that the resistance in East Ukraine is absolutely just against the NATO conspiracy. I'm sure he'll be saying that the resistance in Gaza is absolutely just, and what the Israelis are doing with the full backing of the empire is a disgusting and shameful act of genocide. I'm sure he will be standing and going to the new leadership in people's career, which he was planning on doing, and that didn't actually happen, and death took him away from that. I'm sure he would be at every single forward position of our global struggle, and he would, without any fear of the enemy, raise up our leadership, raise up our unity, and really the message that he cherished was that we unite or we perish. Thank you for coming to this event. Hope to see you again. Thank you.